Welcome to Tools, Talents, and Techniques. I'm your host, Dustin Sutton, and today we are honored to be joined by our distinguished guest, Mr. Hugh Williams. Hugh is he's the principal at KWILL Merchant Advisors, as well as various other enterprises, and he wears multiple hats, but each of them contribute to his expertise in strategic growth and entrepreneurship. His involvement with Sterling Bay as the Director of Strategic Growth and Entrepreneurship showcases his dedication in driving innovation and success in the real estate industry, among others. And so at KWILL, Hugh and his team, they adopt a very comprehensive approach, and they dive deep into all their clients' businesses to craft strategies that help foster growth and overcome challenges. So whether it's working with investors, occupiers, landlords, tenants, developers, Hugh's proficiency really shines through in his experience and all the things that he's done. This particular conversation, because we talk about his journey as a youth and getting into sports and the coaches and leaders that he's had around him and how they've helped develop his mindset and how he moves forward in his career and everything that he's doing, his day-to-day work and his leadership style. So here we go. Without any further ado, Mr. Hugh Williams. Hugh Williams, welcome to the show. Before we jump into the deep end, can you just announce yourself and a little bit about what you do? You do. We were just talking about this. You wear so many hats, do so many things. So you're from everything that we talked about and what I know you're doing. You guys are a movement. That's what you are. So there's a couple of things that we're going to talk about later about what you're doing and some of the projects that are really case studies and of who you guys are and what you do. But before we get there, can you talk a little bit about your upbringing, like where you started, where the Hugh Williams story started? Mm. All right. Well, let's expand on some of these items because you brought up that coming from Jamaica to Iowa when you were in elementary school. So how old were you at this? What was it that brought your parents over there? Was it a job opportunity or was there some? Yeah. What type of patents does your dad hold? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. And so were you growing up at this, son of an engineer and doing all those things? Did you pick up on anything growing up on the way he looks at the No, none of that? Well, and you, based on what you're doing now, like you leaned into your strengths. If you had that entrepreneurial spirit as a child, I mean, you sure developed that well in what you're doing. Did you know in high school kind of what you wanted to do? Was there anything besides, um, those service industry items? Was there anything that jumped out that you were like, this is kind of where I see my career path going? Hmm. Mm, yeah. And so when you were in college, you mentioned you were the captain of your team. What year did you? Well, first of all, in high school, I guess were you also the captain of the team in high school? Your high school football team? Mm, mhm, mm. Well, I think what I'm really getting at is that leadership quality and what you were doing as a captain of your football team in college. How would you describe your leadership style? Maybe not even just football, but just in general, like you leading your company, you leading your division. Like, how would you describe that, and how has that arced over time? Hmm. Mm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the no, that resonates deeply with me, especially leveraging your strengths. And that's one of the things that I like to do with this platform and the tools, talents, and techniques, because the things that you've learned from your coaches and your experience and the people in your community, your parents, your family, like all of these things that you're learning along the way are transferable. So like you're learning this in football, but now you running your organization and your company, then boom, the four C's, right? And then now all those things that you can lead by that, and it makes sense because it's more of a holistic view. Like, and you understand, you live the values. It's not just like some words that they sound cool. Like, no, no, this is why they work. This is why. Mm. First of all, that's amazing to hear you say that. Mhm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and one of the things that jumped out to me when you said that, you said one of my heroes, and they said I'm sitting at his house, and I was like, wow, okay, that's good. That's good that that you're able to do that, and you find the people that you admire, that you respect, and that you can spend that time with them. Yeah, that's fantastic. So what, one of the things that you're talking about and spending that time, and also what you said about giving people enough bandwidth to learn and make the mistakes. And I think a big part of that is understand. And again, this isn't a question here, but hopefully this resonates with you. Is understanding how much rope to give somebody, and understand like what is enough that they can make mistakes and they can learn from them. They have enough room to really impress you with what they're doing. But if they do make a mistake, there's a backflow there. Like it's not going to be a fatal mistake. They're not going to bring down the whole ship by doing this project. So being aware of that, yeah. Mhm. I love that the qualifier you put on the last C, which is the confidence, and you said earned confidence. Because people, one, there's a screening process. I'm sure when you're doing your hiring and you're bringing people on the team, you're giving them the tools to have success. But then they earn those steps, they earn that rope, they earn that confidence. So that makes a lot of sense. I want to make sure that we start talking about some of the projects that Quill has been engaged in, and I know there was a deal in Houston that we touched upon. Could you tell me about that deal? And mm, mm. Well, let's go. Let's go back for a second because I think I just I guess my bad as the interviewer. We skipped over like when because you started out as a broker and then can you go through that genesis after you started the broker? Like how did you expand from originally just being a broker? Yes. Mm. Mm. But you saw the pattern. You saw what where it was going. Yeah. Hmm. Mm. Hmm. Well, you're on your way. And one of the things that I've realized, like you are so vertically integrated, but you're really horizontally integrated as well. I mean, you're doing a lot of different things. And I think from your experience, especially being on that on the real estate side and then the advisory side, like you have access to see how people do it and what works, what doesn't work, who does it well, who do you want to bring on your team, who you don't, you have access to a lot of data. Mhm. Well, I think one of the things that you mentioned before when you talked about feedback, when you said, this is how the feedback you get on the team, and then in the real world, certain things you don't get that feedback. And from what it sounds like, your mindset and your approach is like you're all the information that you're learning, you're bringing it back and you're saying, hey, let's look at this opportunity. Let's look at this. And how do we do this? And how do we do it better? And how we succeed? So that's very tell. I mean, that's very smart to be able to do that and be able to have a team that you're working with that you can. And this dovetails with another thing that you said about being a doer, not just an observer. I heard Obama say in an interview something recently where he's like, "There's a lot of people that can tell you what's wrong. There's a lot of people that can tell you like what they see and why something happened." He's like, "But there's not that many people that can actually do something like actually okay, good, you pointed out, let it fix it." So it's cool to see that you're an implementer, you're a doer. I love it. Yeah. So for you and like how you're looking at thing and you taking these chances, and I think this is the same thing about you giving other people rope, and for you to say, I'm going to give this a try, like I'm going to give this a shot. Can you talk about your thought process when you are analyzing a whatever it is, whether it's a new lease, whether it's investing in a company, hybrid, like what is your decision making process? How do you analyze data before you leap? Like an analytical, yeah. Hmm. Mm, yeah. You in this so I like that edge theory. So that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that because it's so tangible. Like you think about it in a way and it's succinct. I like that. And it's something I probably think of, but it's Mhm. Mm. You mentioned about creativity and why that's important. It's actually, included in your core values. I think it was number three, right? In the four C's. So that being creative or being around creative people and having that, and you alluded to this when you said like you get excited about ideas because you see the potential. Also, it's good to have people that are analytical around you and have that yourself sometimes to kind of, well, these this is the things that we need to look at. But one thing that I've realized, especially in the recent years, like you, creativity can often come from, well, one, from desperation. Sometimes you just got to be creative, but I feel like the best creativity comes from a place of less anxiety. Like you can you have enough freedom, you have enough like security where you have some space to to be creative and to be free to think outside the box. I just think that's so important, and that's something that if you can give more people that space and that freedom to make those choices and make those decisions, and then you don't have to tell them exactly what to do. Like, hey, here, this is what needs to be done. You know, G- agency, like you said, like go for it. See what you can come up with. You give, give people the opportunity to surprise you. You got it. All yours. Uh, so before we take off, I want to make sure I give you the opportunity. Is there any final words of wisdom, something that you've learned through your journey, something you're working on? The floor is yours. Share what you will. Mhm. I love it. I love it. Well, no, I appreciate you spending this time and sharing your story. You're doing some amazing things, and yeah, congrats on your success. And here we go, more to come. Yeah. Thank you. And one of the things that the old expression, if you shoot for the moon, you end up among the stars. Like that's one of the things that I think of sometimes. Like you got to take a shot. You got to shoot your shot. You got to try, and you'll learn. But one of the big things that I've learned is that when you try, it attracts other people that are like, hey, I I like that you try. I like that you take your shot. And these are the and then going back to what you said about leaning into your strengths, then you can find your strengths by trying. But if you don't do anything, if you don't try, you're not going to figure out what you're good at or what you're not, or you know anything other than that. Yeah, shoot or shoot. That's right. Got to shoot to score. All right, Hugh. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Tools, Talents, and Techniques. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation. And if you did find value in the episode, please consider subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform, leaving a review, and sharing with your network. We have an amazing lineup in the coming weeks and months with some very impressive leaders and some of the heaviest hitters in business who are making a positive impact in the world. So stay tuned for more exciting episodes and special features coming up. We appreciate your ongoing support and look forward to welcoming you back next time on Tools, Talents, and Techniques.